Hi friends, I am back with another video. This is my third video demonstration using the Nature's Beauty stamp set, and the card I'm demonstrating today is from another card swap with Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, this time with demonstrators on my Serene Stampers team, members of my downline, and it's a spin-off of this card from my previous video, and this was from another demonstrator card swap that I participated in. And I'm going to show you how I recycled some pieces left over from these cards that I made for this card today. So for this card design, I cut out this piece of Designer Series paper from our 6x6 Designer Series paper. This is our first frost specialty paper. It's absolutely gorgeous. I showed samples of all the designs in my video for this card here, but these are the pieces left over from cutting out this centerpiece. Now for the card I'm making today, I wanted to use the back side with the silver. So I'm going to show you how I basically recycled this top portion, and then that still leaves quite a bit down here to use on other cards. So you really get a lot of mileage with these two designs. So I'm bringing in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to turn this around and cut it at the 4-inch mark. Okay, and then I'm going to take a teeny tiny bit off of this one because I want this piece to measure 5 1/4 by 4. And just take a little bit off of there, turn it around, and line this side up to the 5 1/4. Okay, and you're not going to actually see a whole lot on the card, but it will leave a little bit of a pretty little layer for the card. Now my card base for this one, I'm using Basic Gray. I'm going to take my glue. Both sides of this Designer Series paper would work for this card. If you were to copy this card yourself, either pattern would look pretty, but for this one I'm going with the specialty side with our pretty silver foil. Okay, I'm going to flip that over and just put it onto my card front. Okay. Now I've got my Bake Shot die cutting machine, and I have a piece of Whisper white cardstock. This measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So just like on my last video, I'm using my rectangle stitch dies, and for this one I'm using my largest rectangle die, and then I'm taking a smaller rectangle die and just setting it over on the inside. I'm going to put my plate on and run that through the Big Shot. Previous video, I used the Merry Christmas to All for the sentiment, which is wishing you peace and love all year long. I'm using the May the beauty of the season fill your heart with joy for the sentiment on today's card. So I've already got it positioned on my paper. I've just lined my paper up, the corners lined up with the second slot, positioned my stamp down. I'm going to put the stamp set here just to give it a little bit of sturdiness for inking it up. And I'm going to ink it up with my early espresso. I'm going to stamp it a couple of times to get it really good and dark. I'm inking my deer with my early espresso. And I'm just going to stamp it right down onto that cutout rectangle. And to color, I'm just using my blender pen and just pulling that early espresso into the deer. Cut this deer out, and I'm going to leave it a little bit of that snow. Okay. I also want to cut this centerpiece, so I'm just gently folding the deer in half to get my scissors started, and then just cutting right inside that center of the legs. So there's my deer done. Now I'm bringing this back, and I'm taking this sprig of leaves. I'm going to ink it with my mossy metal and just stamp it right about there. And then this scrap little bit, I'm going to stamp another one. And the second one I'm going to cut out. There's my little sprig. I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm just going to glue this to my card base. I'm going to position this right on top of that silver. So you see what I mean? You're not going to see a whole lot, but it's a way to stretch out that paper and not throw those little bits away. I could have kept a little bit more on each side here, but that's all right. Okay, and I forgot one little step. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And ordinarily I would do this before I glued this on. And I want to emboss some snow. So this is the image I'm using from the Nature's Beauty set. So I'm taking my embossing buddy and my Versamark. Okay, so I've got my Versamark here, inking that up, and I'm going to stamp it 3 times. Okay, my white embossing powder. And I'm going to set that with the heat tool. Curled up a little, and it was just because I had that second layer already on there, so that's why I sapped it a little bit on the inside with the heat tool to try to flatten it a little bit. I've just put Stampin' Dimensionals behind my deer, and I'm just lining them up right in the center and right on top of here a little bit. And I'm going to take my glue and put that on the bottom. Add a couple little dabs of glue in the snow as well. Now I'm taking our new ice Stampin' glitter, also from our holiday catalog, and I'm sprinkling it right on top. And then I've got all that beautiful snow and a little bit behind the deer. So now I'm just cutting a little bit of my dimensions and putting one right behind here. And I'm taking a glue dot and I'm going to put it right at the top of that bow. And just tucking it in, letting it overlap just ever so slightly over here. Taking my linen thread, I'm going to make a bow. Just going to tuck that bow right on top of that glue dot. And then these are my gold faceted gems, and you can see I've colored them all. And all I did to do that is I used my dark cherry cobbler Stampin' Blend, and I have one left of the size that I use for all my card swaps. And this is all I did. I just took my Stampin' Blend, colored it in, pick it up, and this is going to add a nice pop of color to this card. Okay, so now I'm going to stamp the inside of my card, and I am using Whisper White for the inside of the card. This measures 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm just positioning it right there. And using the Merry Christmas to All stamp set, I'm using this Merry with this pretty font, and I'm using that Christmas, and I'm also using these 2 little holly leaves. So I'm going to start off by stamping my Merry. I'm going to position it right there, and I'm inking it with my early espresso. Wipe this off, clean that stamp there, take that off, and now I'm going to position my Christmas. I'm just going to move it over just a little bit. I don't want it flush here because I'm going to put my 2 little holly leaves there. Inking it with my early espresso. taking my mossy metal, and I'm going to take one of the little hollies, and I'm going to ink one up here, and I'm going to take the other holly going the opposite direction and ink it right about there. Now I'm taking my cherry cobbler marker and I'm just going to just draw some holly berries. And that will go right inside my card. Just like that. And there is my finished card. It looks really pretty. It's very simple. It's elegant. And just to bring in the card I made on my last video, it's using the exact same two stamp sets. It's using the Nature's Beauty and the Merry Christmas to All, and it's two entirely different looking cards. I love this stamp set. Not only do I love this stamp set for its versatility and all the different occasions that you can use it for, but $4 of every set sold is donated by Stampin' Up! To mental health organizations, and I love that. So this is a really fabulous stamp set. So again, this card was from my previous video and the one that we just made. I hope you give this a whirl, have a lot of fun with it. And if you haven't already, please remember to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Happy stamping.